My name is Delia Hart. I'm 27, an IT tech with a steady job, a decent apartment, a gym membership I actually use, and a personality that doesn't romanticize chaos. I don't do games. I don't do confusion. And I don't do people who treat love like a reality show audition. Back then, though, I thought I'd found something simple, something real. I met Beau at a friend's rooftop cookout. Late summer heat, cheap string lights, music thumping through someone's Bluetooth speaker like it had something to prove. Beau was 26, confident in a quiet way, the kind of guy who could lean on a railing and still somehow look like he belonged in the center of the room. He made me laugh within 5 minutes. Not with a performance, just with timing, with little observations, with the kind of attention that made you feel like the rest of the rooftop softened around the edges. We clicked fast. By month 2, we had routines. Weeknight takeout, Sunday morning coffee runs, random errands that somehow felt romantic because we did them together. By month 4, we were official. By month 6, we were couple goals, at least according to his stories. Photos of my hand on his chest, my laugh caught mid-frame, my face turned away like a mysterious girlfriend in a cologne ad. It was flattering, until it started feeling like he liked the idea of me more than the reality of me. Still, when it was just us, it worked. Beau was affectionate, funny, present. He'd kiss my forehead like it was a habit he'd been practicing. He'd text me home safe and actually mean it. He told me I made his life feel calmer, and I liked his energy. It made my quiet days feel less empty. Then there was the package deal. Tiffany and Kayla. Beau didn't introduce them like normal friends. He introduced them like a warning label. Tiffany's basically family, he'd said, like he was trying to prepare me. And Kayla's Kayla. Tiffany was loud. Loud voice, loud outfits, loud opinions. The kind of woman who walked into a room and immediately started rearranging it, socially, emotionally, psychologically. She had the confidence of someone who'd never once sat alone with her own thoughts. And here's the part Beau tried to slide past like it didn't matter. Tiffany was his ex-girlfriend. Not recent, Beau insisted. College, he said with a shrug. It didn't mean anything. People always say that when it meant something. Kayla was different. Sweet one-on-one, soft eyes, polite, the kind of girl who would hold the door open and apologize if you bumped into her. But around Tiffany, Kayla became a mirror. Tiffany blinked, Kayla blinked. Tiffany judged, Kayla judged. Tiffany decided, Kayla agreed. At first, I treated them like background noise. Every relationship has noise. You learn what matters and what's just static. But I noticed things. Red flag 1. Beau posted me constantly. Not us. Me. My silhouette. My smile. My legs crossed at a restaurant table. It was like he was building an exhibit called Look What I Landed. Red flag 2, Tiffany's little tests. She would say things like, if a man doesn't pay, he doesn't value you, and then watch my face like she wanted to see if I'd nod along. Sometimes she'd smile at me like we were allies. Other times, she'd look at me like I'd stolen something off her shelf. Red flag 3, Beau's tone after he spent too much time with them. He'd come back sounding coached, like he'd listened to a podcast called How to Win Every Argument Without Being Right. One night he said casually, Tiffany thinks serious girlfriends shouldn't question where their man is. Trust is trust. I remember blinking. That sounds convenient. He laughed, but it was thin. I'm just saying. That's how it started. Little sentences that didn't belong to him. The moment I remember best, the moment the air changed, was a birthday dinner for one of Beau's coworkers. Big table, too much wine, everyone loud in that forced way people get when they're trying to prove they're having fun. The bill came, big number. People started splitting it, except for the birthday girl. Before anyone could speak, Tiffany leaned back in her chair, smirked, and said, honestly, men should cover everything. If a guy can't afford a few dinners, he shouldn't be dating. Kayla nodded immediately, like a bobblehead with loyalty issues. The table went quiet. People stared at their bread plates like they suddenly found religion in carbs. Beau glanced at me, waiting, hoping I'd smile politely and let Tiffany run the night. But I don't do silent. I took a sip of my drink, kept my voice calm, and said, it's always interesting how the loudest, independent people are the first to request sponsorship. A couple people choked on laughs, even the waiter smirked. Tiffany's face tightened like she swallowed a lemon. Kayla blinked twice, unsure if she was allowed to be offended yet. Beau nudged my knee under the table, not playful. More like, don't. I raised an eyebrow at him like, don't what? Let someone disrespect me in public? The rest of the dinner never recovered. Tiffany didn't attack me directly. That wasn't her style. She preferred slow poison, little comments, little looks, little jokes that weren't jokes. But from that night on, I felt it. She started watching me like she was waiting for me to slip. Kayla kept her distance unless Tiffany was spinning next to her. And Bo stayed sweet, but there was a new hesitation in him, like he was balancing two worlds and wasn't sure which one would punish him harder. For a while, I told myself the good outweighed the weird. And it did, until month 14. That's when the shift started. Subtle at first, a canceled dinner, a rain check, a work ran late that didn't match the timestamps on his story. Nothing that screamed disaster, just enough to feel like someone dimmed the lights in a room that used to be bright. One Friday, an hour before our date, Bo texted, "Hey babe, girls thing came up. Tiffany wants to talk about something important." No details, no apology, just girls thing. Like that phrase was supposed to erase my right to feel anything. Next week, busy tonight. Week after, exhausted. Vision board night with Tiff and Kayla. And every time I asked if something was wrong, Bo hit me with the same line. "You're overthinking." I didn't chase. I don't chase grown adults to act grown. But I started paying attention. Then came the receipt. One Saturday, Bo told me he was at his mom's place, helping with errands. "Won't be on my phone much." "Cool," I'd texted back. "Have fun carrying groceries." 2 hours later, my phone buzzed. A mutual friend posted a story from a rooftop bar. Loud music, bright drinks, bodies pressed close for the camera. Front and center, laughing with a cocktail in hand, Bo. Tiffany beside him like a shadow. Kayla behind them, smiling like she wasn't sure why. I didn't message Bo, I didn't call, I didn't screenshot. I just saved it in my head like a file I'd pull later. Because if there's one thing I learned long before Bo, it's that the truth always slips out somewhere. And when it does, you don't have to chase it. You just have to wait for the moment to place it on the table and watch who flinches. That Monday, I didn't come in hot. I didn't send paragraphs. I didn't post subliminals. I didn't do the thing people do when they're scared. Pick a fight just to feel like they're in control. I just invited Bo over for dinner. Normal, quiet, a safe room for the truth to walk into. I stood in my kitchen chopping onions, letting the sound of the knife keep my nerves in a straight line. The apartment smelled like garlic and heat, like something steady was still possible if we both chose it. At 6:40 p.m., I heard footsteps in the hall, and then my door opened. Bo walked in first, and behind him came Tiffany and Kayla like they were attached at the hip. Not an accident. Not, "Oh, we were just together." This was a strategy. Tiffany drifted in like she owned the air in my apartment, eyes already scanning my counters, my sink, my life. Kayla hovered behind her with that polite half smile that never fully reached her eyes. Bo didn't even look guilty. He just said, like this was normal, "Hey, they were with me. Thought it'd be easier if everyone talked." Everyone. Like I was about to be called up in front of a committee. I set the knife down slowly. "Easier for who?" I asked. Tiffany smiled, bright and sharp. "For Bo, for you, for the relationship." That's when I knew exactly what this was. This wasn't three friends dropping by. This was a trial, and I was the defendant. I wiped my hands on a towel, leaned back against the counter, and kept my voice neutral. "Okay," I said, "then talk." Bo opened his mouth like he was going to say something soft, something reassuring. But Tiffany cut in first, of course. "So," she said, drawing the word out like she was about to narrate a documentary. "Bo told us you've been questioning him." I blinked once. I asked him one question. Kayla nodded quickly, "But it felt like you were checking up on him." I looked at Bo. "Is that what you told them?" Bo rubbed the back of his neck. "Delia, it's not like that. You seemed intense." Intense. Because I noticed a lie. I kept my face calm, but something cold clicked into place inside my chest. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. "Saturday," I said, turning to Bo. "You told me you were at your mom's house helping with errands." Bo's eyes flicked, just for a second, to Tiffany. Then back to me. "Plans changed," he said quickly. "Interesting," I said, "because I saw you at Fletcher's rooftop bar." Silence hit the room like a dropped plate. Bo's mouth opened slightly, then closed. Kayla's expression flashed nervous, like she hadn't been given that detail. Tiffany recovered first, because she always did. She gave a loud, fake laugh. "Oh my God, are we really doing this? You're monitoring him now?" "I wasn't monitoring anything," I said evenly. "A mutual posted a story. Bo was in it." Tiffany tilted her head. "And you saved it. Let it stew. then invited him here for dinner so you could corner him. I stared at her. You're making up a story so you don't have to answer mine, I said. Kayla's lips parted like she might say something, but Tiffany spoke over her. This is exactly what we warned Beau about, Tiffany said, loud enough to make it feel like an announcement. Men get into relationships and suddenly they're not allowed to breathe without a woman demanding receipts. I let her finish. Then I looked at Beau again. I asked why you lied, I said. That's it. Beau's eyes narrowed, defensive now. I didn't lie. I just didn't want to deal with you getting upset. My eyebrows lifted. So you lied. Tiffany snapped her fingers like she'd won something. There it is. That controlling tone. That's what I mean. Kayla nodded, too fast, too eager. I raised my hand slightly. Not dramatic, just enough to stop the chorus. Kayla, I said calmly. I didn't ask Tiffany. I asked Beau. Kayla froze. Her eyes flicked to Tiffany like she needed permission to exist. That tiny movement told me everything. Tiffany's smile tightened. Don't try to isolate him, Delia. That's manipulation. I felt my jaw relax into something almost amused. Is it manipulation? I asked. Or is it just uncomfortable when people have to answer their own behavior? Beau shifted on his feet like the floor had gotten softer. Tiffany stepped closer to my island, the way someone steps up to intimidate without touching. You should be grateful, she said. Beau is a good man. Most women would kill for a boyfriend who even bothers coming here to talk. I stared at her, then at Beau. He didn't correct her. He didn't say, she's my girlfriend, not my mother. He let Tiffany speak for him like she had the right. And that was the moment something in me stopped trying. I leaned back against the counter, voice still low. Here's the pattern, I said. When it's just Beau and me, things are fine. When Tiffany enters the room, Beau suddenly has opinions that don't sound like him. Tiffany's eyes flashed. Excuse me? Beau's face hardened. That's not true. Isn't it? I asked. Because last week you told me I shouldn't question you because trust is trust. That didn't sound like you. That sounded like a slogan. Kayla swallowed. Tiffany scoffed. Maybe he just woke up. I nodded slowly. Or maybe he's being coached. Beau flinched like I slapped him. Delia, he snapped. Stop, you're embarrassing yourself. I held his gaze without blinking. No, I said. I'm embarrassing the lie, and you're upset because you wanted me to play dumb. The room went quiet. Even Tiffany, because it wasn't anger in my voice. It was clarity. And people who survive by controlling the mood in a room can't stand clarity. It's like sunlight. It exposes everything. Kayla's voice came out small. We're just trying to help. I looked at her, really looked. You're trying to help Beau, I said. Or you're trying to help Tiffany stay in charge. Kayla's cheeks flushed. Tiffany's smile vanished. Watch your mouth. I didn't move. Watch yours, I said softly. Tiffany's nostrils flared. Men don't like women who challenge them, Delia. You're pushing him away. I tilted my head. And you like women who stay quiet so you can speak for them. Beau stepped forward, voice sharp. Okay, this is done. You're being dramatic. I nodded once. Then leave, I said. Beau blinked. What? You came into my home with an audience, I said. You lied, then tried to make me the villain for noticing. If you think I'm dramatic, you don't have to stay. Tiffany's eyes widened, like she hadn't expected me to end the scene without her permission. Kayla looked like she might cry. Beau stared at me for a long second, and I saw it. The shock that I wasn't begging for reassurance, the confusion that I wasn't bargaining. He wanted a reaction. He wanted me to chase him. I didn't. Beau grabbed his keys off the counter like he'd always owned them. Fine, he said, jaw tight. I'm going home. You're being controlling. I gave a small shrug. Drive safe. Tiffany muttered, unbelievable, as she followed him out like a bodyguard. Kayla hesitated by my doorway, eyes glassy, like something inside her was trying to surface. Guilt, maybe. But Tiffany snapped, Kayla, and Kayla moved automatically. The door shut. Silence settled like dust. And I just stood there in my kitchen staring at the spot where Beau had been, feeling something I didn't expect. Not heartbreak, not rage, just this calm, chilling understanding. The distance I'd been feeling wasn't an accident. It was organized. It was intentional. And the worst part? It wasn't even Beau's idea. He was just letting someone else write his part. Over the next few weeks, the pattern became predictable enough to set a clock to. Beau canceled plans. Beau responded slower. Beau spoke in phrases that sounded like they'd been rehearsed in a group chat. Anytime I asked a direct question, Tiffany suddenly appeared in the background of the answer, either literally in his location or metaphorically in the words. I didn't fight about it. I didn't beg him to prioritize me. I just watched. Because if someone is choosing the people who poison their relationship, you can't save them by swallowing the poison too. Still, despite everything, I thought we had a future. Because we'd put in time. 2 years doesn't vanish overnight. And I was a builder by nature. When I committed with my whole chest. So I bought the ring. Not something cheap or flashy. A clean-cut band with a center stone that looked timeless, elegant, not screaming. Something that said, I choose you, even when it's not convenient. I hid it in my sock drawer under a stack of black crew socks Beau never touched. My plan was simple. Dinner at our first date spot. A walk by the river. No theatrics. Just real. But the week after I bought it, Beau disappeared like someone unplugged him from our life. Weekend 1. Girls' trip to a winery. Totally last minute. Tiffany booked it. Weekend 2. Exhausted. Stayed up with Tiffany and Kayla until like 3. Rain check. Weekend 3. Vision board night. Kayla's in a weird mood. I have to be there. 3 weekends in a row. I saw him twice, both times for less than an hour. And every time I asked if something was wrong, he hit me with the same line. Everything's fine, I'm just busy. You're overthinking. But I wasn't panicking. I wasn't spiraling. I was filing receipts. Because the distance wasn't random anymore. It was practiced, like someone had taught him what space should look like, what excuses sounded believable, how to keep me just close enough to not leave, but far enough to keep control. Then came the Tuesday night that snapped the last thread. It was a little before 8 p.m. My work laptop was still open on my kitchen table. I remember because I'd been answering a ticket when I heard the knock. I opened the door, and there he was. Beau, casual outfit, hair slightly messy, expression blank, like he was stopping by to borrow sugar. Hey, he said, brushing past me without waiting to be invited. Just grabbing a few things. No conversation. No eye contact. No warmth. He walked straight into my bedroom and started pulling his stuff out of my drawers like he'd rehearsed the route through my apartment. Chargers. Sweaters. Toiletries. A hoodie I used to steal. Every movement efficient. Emotionless. Like he'd already said goodbye somewhere else. I leaned against the doorway and watched him for 5 long minutes before I spoke, my voice low. Don't forget your hairdryer, I said. It would be awkward having to come back after it's over. His hand froze mid-reach. Slowly, Beau turned to look at me. What? He said. Too sharp, too fast. Why would you say that? Because you're packing like someone who already wrote your exit speech, I thought. But I didn't say that. I just held his gaze. And in that silence, I saw it in his eyes. The moment he realized I'd read the ending before he got to perform it. Beau stared at me like I'd jumped ahead in a script he wasn't ready to read out loud yet. You're being dramatic, he said finally, but his voice lacked conviction. It sounded like a line he'd practiced without understanding the meaning. I didn't move from the doorway. You didn't come here to grab a charger, I said calmly. You came here to leave. His shoulders sagged, just slightly, enough to tell me I was right. Delia, he sighed, rubbing his face like this was exhausting for him. I don't know how to say this the right way. That sentence. The universal opening to a breakup speech that's been workshopped by a committee. Say it wrong then, I replied. Honesty doesn't need good lighting. He let out a breath, long and theatrical, then straightened like he was about to accept an award. You're great, he began. Truly. You're stable. You're dependable. You're safe. There it was. Every compliment that secretly meant boring. But, I prompted. But I don't see you as my future, he said, words coming out smoother now, like he'd finally hit his rhythm. I need something different, something more exciting, more aligned with who I'm becoming. I watched him closely. He didn't look sad. He looked relieved that he'd finally delivered the lines. So you're done, I said. That's not... He stepped forward instinctively. Don't reduce it like that. I'm not reducing anything, I said. You already packed. That hit harder than anything else. His expression flickered, fake sadness slipping into irritation. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. I was supposed to cry, to ask what I could change, to bargain my way back into his life. He tried again, softer. Can we at least talk about it? No. One word. Clean. Final. He blinked. No? No, I repeated. You didn't come here to talk. You came here to exit without friction. I'm not giving you that. Silence stretched between us. Then he grabbed his bag, muttered something about needing space to grow, and walked toward the door. I held it open. Didn't chase him. Didn't ask him to stay. And when he left, I didn't feel shattered. I felt clear. 10 minutes later, I opened my sock drawer and pulled out the ring box. I stared at it once. Just once. Then I put it back. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I just understood something fundamental. He didn't walk away from a future. He walked away from accountability. The next day, a friend of a friend sent me a screenshot. A message from Beau in a group chat. Not meant for me. She's too immature. Decent in bed, but honestly not worth the rest of my life. I need to level up. Word for word. No context missing. No exaggeration. I screenshotted it, archived it, and felt nothing. Because the message didn't hurt. It confirmed. A month passed. Life stabilized. Work stayed steady. My apartment felt quieter, but not lonely. The ring sat untouched in the drawer, like a receipt from a bad investment. I wasn't thinking about Beau anymore, until Kayla texted me, "Hey, can we talk alone? It's important." That alone did something to my spine. Kayla never reached out on her own. She always followed someone else's lead. I told her to come by. When she arrived, she didn't look like the Kayla I knew. No makeup, hoodie pulled too tight around her wrists, eyes red, like she'd been crying in private and losing. "Does Beau know you're here?" I asked. She shook her head fast. "No, God, no. If he knew, he'd lose it." That told me everything I needed to know about how free he was. She sat on the edge of my couch like it might swallow her. "I need to tell you the truth," she said. I nodded. "Go ahead." Kayla took a breath. "Beau never dated you because of you," she said quietly. "He liked saying he had a girlfriend. It made him feel accomplished, like it checked a box." I raised an eyebrow. "He said you were perfect for the image," she continued. "Stable job, nice apartment, reliable. It made him look put together." I nodded slowly. "Classy," I said. Kayla winced. "Yeah." "And Tiffany?" I asked. Her shoulders slumped. She made it worse. She kept telling him he could upgrade, that he shouldn't settle for someone so steady. I almost laughed. Steady is apparently a crime now. Kayla looked ashamed. She said you were bare minimum masked as maturity, that he deserved someone who would worship him. So, someone clueless. She didn't argue. "And you?" I asked. Kayla swallowed. I followed along. I didn't think for myself. I echoed whatever Tiffany said because I didn't want to be her target. Fair. Tiffany had the emotional energy of a Yelp review that could ruin lives. Kayla hesitated, then added, "He talked about you like a placeholder, a practice girlfriend." That didn't surprise me. Then she paused. "There's more," she said. "When he broke up with you, he told people you proposed, and he rejected you." I leaned back. "He's saying what?" "Tiffany told him to push that story," Kayla admitted. "It makes him look powerful, makes you look obsessed." That crossed a line. I stood up, walked to my drawer, and pulled out the ring box. Set it on the coffee table between us. "I bought this 3 weeks before he dumped me," I said. "Never gave it to him. It's been here the whole time." Kayla's eyes widened. "Delia, that's messed up. He's lying to everyone." "Not shocking," I said, "just loud." She stared at the ring box, then something clicked behind her eyes. "What if," she said slowly, "we flip the narrative?" I looked at her. "How?" She pointed at the box. "We take a picture. Casual. Us on the couch. Ring box on the table. No caption." I considered it. Not revenge. Not jealousy. Just truth, placed where it couldn't be ignored. "If he wants to treat me like an option," I said, "he can watch me move on like one." Kayla exhaled hard. "So, yes?" I nodded. We staged it simply. One photo. No touching. Ring box centered between us. Kayla posted it at 11:15 a.m. And we didn't even get 5 minutes. Because that picture was the match. And Beau's entire story was dry kindling. Kayla's phone started vibrating before the app even finished refreshing. She looked down once, then again, then turned the screen toward me without saying a word. Beau calling again. Tiffany calling, unknown number. Tiffany calling again. It had been 9 minutes since the photo went live. 9. Kayla swallowed. She saw it. I nodded. Of course she did. By the 15-minute mark, Kayla's phone was blowing up so fast it looked like it was glitching. Missed calls stacked on top of each other. Messages came in half-loaded, like the words couldn't keep up with the panic behind them. By the 1-hour mark, I heard banging. Not knocking. Banging. Hard enough that the frame rattled and the hallway echoed like someone was trying to break the door down with their ego. Kayla froze on my couch. I didn't know they'd come here," she whispered. "I did," I said calmly. I walked to the door and opened it just enough to see the scene. Beau stood front and center. Jaw tight, eyes bright with something sharp and frantic. Behind him, right on cue, was Tiffany, practically vibrating with adrenaline, eyes already scanning past me into my apartment like she was casing a crime scene. And Kayla stood off to the side, dragged along, like evidence she didn't consent to be. "Delia," Beau said immediately, forcing softness into his voice. "We need to talk." "You could start by asking," I replied. Tiffany scoffed. "Oh, don't play games. You posted a manipulative photo to humiliate him." I looked straight at her. "You're loud," I said. "Not right. Step back." Tiffany froze. Not because she respected me, Because no one ever spoke to her like that. Bo hesitated, instincts warring. Step forward, step back, choose a side. He chose the one that required the least courage. I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. All right, I said, talk. Bo switched modes instantly. Voice dropped, shoulders slumped, eyes softened. I made a mistake, he said. I've been thinking about you nonstop. Everything got serious too fast, and I panicked. Same rhythm, same tone, same breakup speech, just reversed. You were the best girlfriend I ever had, he added. I got scared because of how good you were to me. I said nothing, didn't nod, didn't reassure, didn't interrupt. I just let the silence sit there until it got heavy. Tiffany jumped in when she realized he wasn't landing. He's being vulnerable, she snapped. Don't punish him for honesty. Kayla nodded automatically. Yeah, he's trying. I glanced at Kayla. You didn't sound this supportive when he was calling me immature and not worth his future. Kayla froze. Bo's eyes widened. Tiffany's face twitched. I stepped aside slightly, opening the door wider. You want to talk, I said? Then come in. Bo walked past me, like he still belonged there. Tiffany followed, scanning every inch like she was already counting imaginary losses. And then Bo saw it. The ring box, still sitting on the coffee table where Kayla had left it. His eyes locked onto it like a magnet. You bought me a ring, he said, voice rising. You were going to propose? Yes, I said calmly, before you dumped me. His expression shifted, not to gratitude, not to regret, to entitlement. Well, he said, straightening, then that's mine. I blinked once. Excuse me? The ring, he said sharply. Engagement rings are gifts. Under the law, you can't keep it. There it was. The real motive. Tiffany stepped forward instantly, like she'd been waiting for this cue. Actually, she said smugly, in this state, once a ring is purchased with intent to propose, it legally belongs to the fiancé. It's a conditional gift. Kayla nodded. Yeah, that's true. I held up a hand. No proposal, I said. No ring on your finger. It stayed in the box, which means it never belonged to you. Silence. Tiffany's mouth opened, closed, opened again. She wasn't used to facts interrupting her speeches. Bo scoffed. You don't get to flaunt a ring you bought for me in some petty photo. You shouldn't have told people you rejected my proposal, I replied. The room went dead. Kayla's eyes widened. She hadn't known I'd seen that lie. Tiffany's jaw tightened. Bo's confidence cracked. That's not what happened, he snapped. You didn't reject a proposal I never made, I said evenly. That's when he realized it. The narrative was gone. Publicly. Instantly. His jaw clenched. He crossed his arms. Give me the ring, Delia. No. Tiffany shoved forward a step. You don't get to decide what a woman, or a man, is owed. You don't get to enter my apartment, I replied calmly. Stay in the hallway. She stopped. That bothered her more than yelling ever could. Bo pointed at the ring box. If you don't give that to me, I'm not leaving. I nodded. Okay. He blinked. Okay? Yeah, I said. You can stand there all day. You're still not getting something you never owned. Tiffany leaned in, whisper hissing. Push harder. Bo's face reddened. Delia, he said, voice cracking. Please, I need that ring. I tilted my head. You don't need the marriage. You need the money. That's when he snapped. When calm didn't work. When charm didn't work. When pressure didn't work. His hand shot out, hard shoved to my chest. Not enough to knock me down. Enough to cross a line. The hallway went silent. And then... Step back! A voice cut through everything. My neighbor down the hall had cracked his door open. You don't get to put your hands on people, he snapped. I'm calling the cops. Tiffany spun on him instantly. Mind your business. He didn't argue. He just shut his door, and I knew exactly what he was doing. Bo lunged forward again, rage spilling out now that the mask was gone, and that's when the sirens hit. Faint at first, then closer, then right outside. Bo froze. Tiffany's face drained. Kayla looked like she was about to collapse. And in that moment, standing there with my door wide open, ring still untouched on the table, I realized something simple and devastating. This wasn't about love. It never was. This was about control. And control always panics when it loses the room. The sirens grew louder, echoing up the stairwell like a countdown. Bo took half a step back, eyes darting, the way people's do when consequences suddenly become real. Tiffany straightened her shoulders, already preparing whatever speech she thought would bend authority in her favor. Kayla pressed herself against the wall, hands shaking. Footsteps hit the landing. 2 officers rounded the corner first, calm, alert. A third followed a beat later, older, slower, eyes already reading the room. Everybody stop, the female officer said, hand raised. Nobody moves. Nobody talks unless I ask you to. It worked instantly. Even Tiffany. The officer pointed at Bo. You, what's going on? Bo's face shifted into something fragile and wounded. I'm just trying to pick up my things. She won't let me inside. The officer turned to me. Is that true? No, I said evenly. He picked up his things a month ago. Today he came back demanding a ring I never gave him. Tiffany burst in. That ring legally belongs to him. It's a conditional gift. The officer lifted one finger without looking at her. Stop talking. Tiffany actually stopped. I continued. We dated 2 years. I bought a ring. I never proposed. He broke up with me before I could. The ring never left its box. The older officer nodded slowly, taking it in. Then he looked at Bo. Why are you demanding a ring that was never given to you? Bo hesitated. Just long enough. And then the truth slipped. Because I need the money, he snapped. My car payment's due. The hallway froze. Even Tiffany looked stunned. Kayla covered her mouth. The younger officer blinked. The older one stared at Bo like he'd just confessed to something deeply stupid. I let out a short, humorless breath. So you didn't want the marriage, I said quietly. You wanted the payout. Bo's face twisted. You're twisting my words. I'm repeating them, I replied. That's when he lost it. He shoved me again, harder this time. Before I could even step back, the female officer was on him. She grabbed his arms, turned him, and pinned him to the wall in one clean, practiced motion. You're under arrest for assault, she said. Put your hands behind your back. Metal clicked. Tiffany's mouth opened, then closed. No words came out. Kayla slid down the wall, crying silently. Bo thrashed once, then froze as the cuffs tightened. This isn't fair, he yelled. She made me do it. No one answered. The officers guided him down the hall. His voice echoed back, frantic now. Delia, tell them. Tiffany, say something. Kayla. Tiffany stared at the floor. Kayla whispered, I'm sorry, without looking up. When the hallway finally emptied, the older officer turned to me. You handled yourself well, he said. Good thing your neighbor called early. I nodded. Thank you. Before they left, the female officer took photos of the ring box on my coffee table. Documentation only, she said. It stays with you. When the door closed, the silence felt different. Lighter. Like something heavy had been physically removed from my space. An hour later, my phone rang. Unknown number, I answered. This is Bo's mother, a woman's voice snapped. What did you do to my son? I kept my tone level. Your son tried to force his way into my apartment, demanded property he was never given, and assaulted me in front of police officers. That's not what he told us, a man's voice shouted in the background. His father. I'm sure, I said. As for the police report. There was a pause, just long enough for reality to catch up. The mother's voice softened. They said it could go on his record. That's not my decision, I replied. The call ended without an apology. 15 minutes later, Kayla texted. He's already lying from holding. Told his parents you shoved him first. Then said you stole the ring. None of it matches. They're freaking out. Expected. Then my phone buzzed again. Tiffany had posted a long rant to her story. 7 paragraphs about manipulation, patriarchy, men weaponizing the legal system. No names, but everyone knew. 10 minutes later, the building footage surfaced. My neighbor pulled the hallway clip and replied to her story with the time-stamped video. Bo shoving me. Clear as day, right before the officer stepped in. Tiffany's story disappeared within seconds, replaced by a single line, editing for clarity, misinformation going around. Then nothing. That night, Bo called from the county line. I let it go to voicemail. His message was shaky, desperate. Delia, please, I wasn't thinking. I just needed help. The ring, my car. Please don't make this bigger than it is. I didn't respond, because it already was exactly as big as it needed to be. By the next morning, the story had stopped being mine. That was the strangest part. I woke up to a quiet apartment. No notifications exploding, no panic buzzing through the walls, just sunlight cutting across my kitchen floor like it always had. Coffee brewed, the city moved on. Bo, however, did not. Around noon, Sergeant Whitaker called with an update. He's being released to his parents, he said. There's a strict no-contact order. If he reaches out again, calls, messages, shows up, you call us immediately. Understood, I replied. I meant it, not emotionally, procedurally. This wasn't heartbreak anymore, it was paperwork. I thought that would be the end of it. I thought he'd finally go quiet, lick his wounds, and disappear into whatever story he could still tell himself in private. I underestimated how badly some people need an audience. Within hours, screenshots started landing in my inbox from 3 different people. Tiffany had posted again. Not a rant this time, not paragraphs. A single text bubble, supposedly from Bo. She hit me first. The comments underneath were brutal, because lies don't land the same once there's video, once there are police reports, once there's a time-stamped clip of you shoving someone before handcuffs appear. The story didn't last an hour. Then Kayla did something I didn't expect. She reposted the hallway footage herself. No emojis, no speech, just a caption. Lies fall apart fast. I enabled this too long. Never again. That was it. That one line collapsed Tiffany's entire persona. Her credibility didn't just crack, it evaporated. People who'd cheered her on the night before started asking questions she couldn't spin. And then came the final wave. The mugshot. Someone from the station uploaded it to a local community page. It spread faster than anything else had. My DMs filled up with messages I didn't open. I didn't need validation. I didn't need revenge. I didn't even need closure. 2 days later, I walked into a jeweler and sold the ring. No ceremony, no hesitation. The money went straight into something tangible, useful, mine. When the shop owner asked if it was a trade-up, I smiled and said, something like that. That night, I got one last message from Beau's mother. We're embarrassed. We're sorry for what he put you through. Thank you for cooperating with the police. I left it on read. Some stories don't need replies. Because here's the truth, I learned the hard way. I didn't lose a future. I dodged one that would have slowly erased me while convincing everyone I was lucky to be there. Beau lost the girlfriend, the ring he never had, the lie he tried to sell, and the last 2 people willing to defend him. Actions meet consequences eventually. He just met his all at once.